Welcome, everyone. I am Gary Gatto, and this is RaceVerse coverage of Round 5 of Season 2 of 2022 of the RaceVerse Formula Indy Series, coming to you from Legacy Silverstone Speedway Circuit. It's really hard with this voice. Really, it is. For the Midwest Kidney Warriors Historic Grand Prix. Joining me for expert analysis in the booth, he's my partner for our Monday Night Indy Fix Top Split, and we'll be doing bulk of the talking tonight, probably. From the NHR Esports team in the Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by Butt Kicker, please welcome Stephen Larkamp. So, Stephen, we are in the middle of our UK tour, so to speak, and we're on another famous Formula One track. I'm sure you're going to tell us all about it, but Silverstone, it's probably one of the more historic Formula One tracks in all the world.
No doubt about that. The home of British motor racing can rightly be said to be the literal birthplace of Formula One. The first ever World Championship Grand Prix was held here at Silverstone, the British Grand Prix in 1950. And from there, the Formula One World Championship really took off in earnest. And from here, of course, Silverstone, it hasn't held the British Grand Prix every single year since. Of course, it's had to share it with Brands Hatch and Antrim, and that one time they went to Donington Park for the European Grand Prix. But there's no doubt about it, Silverstone really is the home of motor racing. Not just Formula One, but touring cars, sports car racing, you name it, they've all raced here at Silverstone. Even little attempt at Indy cars in the 1970s.
That is very true. Let's talk about that right now. While we have about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in qualifying here. Welker is our provisional pole sitter. But yeah, Indy cars did come here once. 1978 under USAC stewardship. Using the 2.932 mile configuration, so a slightly older configuration. The Flying Hawaiian Danian Gaius turned a lap of 118.450 to earn him the pole position for the 16-car field. The bulk of the race was dominated by Al Unser, who led with a race-high 18 laps, but retired mid-race due to a suspension failure. The eventual win went to A.J. Foyt, of all people, followed by Rick Mears and Tom Sneva. Talk about a who's who on the podium here for IndyCar history. The win would be Foyt's second and final IndyCar road course win of his career. He only won two. The year prior, he won at Mosport, and he also won this one. So, of the 67 wins that he has to his credit in IndyCar history, that currently Scott Dixon is trying to run down, 2 are on road courses. One came here, of course. So that is kind of IndyCar's. In a nutshell, their history here at the Legacy Silverstone circuit.
Indeed, and that's truly a legacy circuit. This was even before this configuration came along in the 1990s, and that was a time when Silverstone was unquestionably the fastest track in Formula One. It was faster than Monza. In fact, Keke Rosberg put a lap here in qualifying in 1985 for the British Grand Prix. Average speed was 160 miles an hour. It would take until the 2010s to see lap times faster than that at Monza down in Italy. But this track, made out of a former bomber base, RAF Silverstone, during World War II, it's flat, fast, lots of passing opportunities. Silverstone always puts on a great show, and the over 150,000 people that come out here for the British Grand Prix every year, they wouldn't have it any other way. Even with the reconfiguration they had in 2010 and then the wholesale revamp of the track in 2011, it's very much still Silverstone as it was before. You still have that great Silverstone atmosphere, and the racing, of course, it's very exciting at times, and it can lead to a lot of close racing and a lot of dramatic moments, as we've seen, especially in the last few years here at Silverstone. And maybe we'll see some more of that here tonight as the Formula Indy Series gets ready to take on the old version of Silverstone. And not only that, but not only is it the old version of Silverstone, the 2009 scan of this track, which was the last year that this track existed before the revamp in 2010, 2011. But it's also the version of Silverstone with the different chicanes. It's the historical chicane version. So the Vale chicane, which now is the final corner on the track before the start-finish line, that is a very fast left-right sweeping chicane rather than the slow, hard braking chicane with a sharp left and then a winding open right-hander. So so that's going to be not as easy a place to pass. And the Abbey chicane, which is now turn 1 of the track, that's not even a chicane at all. That's just a flat-out left-hander before you go down the hill under the bridge and into the fast bridge corner, fittingly enough. And that's gonna be a couple of passing opportunities, not quite showing here, but you can bet that that's gonna lead to a lot of other opportunities here becoming more viable for people when they really want to make the pass on the driver in front.
About 34 seconds left here in qualifying. Provisionally, Mitch Welker still on the pole. Nick Johnson, P2. Alex Van Asant, P3. Alex will have a EOL, or start from the pits penalty, that he will have to serve. That's remaining from last week. Austin Delgado and Alex Van Asant will both serve penalties, also as well as Kevin Rivera, Michael DeTurk, Bruno Miranda, and Jose Carrera all have to start from the pits for this race.
A lot of penalties being served from last time out at Spa-Francorchamps. That was definitely a very exciting race, no doubt. And if we're getting ready for warm-up, let's see how they will qualify tonight. 35 cars showed up, so no driver is getting bumped tonight. And on the pole is Mitch Welker in the number 76, once again returning to form after a heroic drive last time at Spa and 3 wins in a row to start the season. Let's see if he can make it 4 for 5. Nick Johnston will be his partner alongside him on the front row. Also had a fantastic drive at Spa to get up to P2. Alex Van Asant qualified 3rd, though as we said before, he has a penalty to serve. He will not be starting there. But who will be alongside him is Principal Dan. Danilo Piazza's number 56 also had a great drive at Spa. Bruno Miranda's number 77 will start 5th on row 3, and alongside him will be Cody Claiborne in the 31. Row 4 will be Jose Ramirez's number 75 and Cristobal Valenzuela in the number 33. Good qualifying effort by him. Row 5, Gavin Sanders in the number 10 and Nate Siefker's number 2 rounding out the top 10 on the field. And Simon Sykes in the number 84 will start 11th on row 6, and alongside him will be Robert Sadler's number 6. Caleb Bensi and Michael DeTurk, though DeTurk does have a penalty as we mentioned before, and that will be 13th and 14th on row 7, numbers 21 and 40. Pedro Quinones is number 796, will be starting alongside Jeff Groff's number 25 on row 8. Row 9 will be AJ Digby's number 81, and Ricardo Echevarria, the winner last time out at Spa-Francorchamps, he will start no better than 18th here tonight. A rough qualifying for him. Let's see if he can recover. Joshua Tucker in the 112 and Matthew Short in the 35 will round out the top 20. That is row number 10. Row 11, Frankie Franciccia's number 91 and Armando Edwards in the 74. The 12th row, Matt Houston in the 66. The boss man will be sharing that row alongside Nick Goyite in the number 12. Row 13 will be Jordan Erickson's 22 and the 82 of Dakota DeMay. Row 14 will be Logan Spath in the number 3 and Jake Katz in the 177. Row 15, Christian Jasper and Victor Aldrich rounds out the top 30. Zachary Fahm and Hugo Galaz, numbers 20 and 27, will be row 16. The 17th row, Finian DeCuna's number 94 and Peter Donchak in the 57. And then shotgun on the field, the 777 of Christopher Kresge. A long way to go for the old veteran, but let's see. This is going to be I think this is going to be a pretty exciting race to see all the way through the end. A lot of drivers love coming to Silverstone. Doesn't matter what configuration. And in these Indy cars, there's going to be a lot of aggressive driving here, a lot of hard places to make passes. So you're going to have to make it stick. As we have 2 minutes to go in the practice sessions here, and a little bit of trivia about the historics about this version of Silverstone. Of course, it's not exactly the same here, but Silverstone, the lap record here, as we mentioned, Danny Ungaius set a 1:18 here in the IndyCars in 1978. To give you an idea what the differences between the two tracks were, it would not be, if you look at the fastest lap ever set on this layout of Silverstone, in race pace, it's a 1:18.739, and that was set by none other than Michael Schumacher in the legendary Ferrari F2004 for the 2004 British Grand Prix. And looking down through all the different configurations of the track, Daniel Gaius was a 1:18.450. It would still be a little bit faster, of course. This track is a little bit longer than the old version, and then the older version of Silverstone back then. And the pole time for the 2004 British Grand Prix was a 1:18.233, and that was set by Kimi Räikkönen when he was driving for McLaren Mercedes. And doesn't that combination take you back? As everyone's starting to line up here, and of course, one thing I'd be remiss to say, of course, that as I mentioned before, Silverstone was built on RAF Silverstone, an old World War II bomber base, where a lot of training missions were held here, and it still holds that it still holds true to the old airfield that I used to run. Of course, the back straight here is called the Hangar Straight, because of course it was all the hangars were lined up here near one of the runways. And after the reconfiguration of the track in 2010-2011, they added the Wellington Straight after the first section of corners, and that was of course named after the old Vickers Wellington bombers that used to take off here for training missions before sending out on missions over the Western Front of World War II.
It's time to grid them up.
But now we have a new front of combat to get ready for. Everyone's starting to grid up.
And they will be gridded around the corner.
Indeed, the final corner of the track here at Woodcote. We barely even call it a corner. You don't really have to do anything special for it. So it makes all the more sense to have, especially with a field as big as this, to stretch the cars all the way around Woodcote Corner and getting towards Luffield, which is the final, I guess you could say, proper corner here on this variation of Silverstone. Johnston lines up. Welker seated there. Of course, a few drivers do have grid penalties, so we will have to wait a little while here. And now we have it ready to go. Lights are coming on, waiting for them to go out. Revs coming up. And green flag flies. We are underway in England. And Welker off to a good start. Johnston has a good launch as well. Piazza now under threat. That's Cody Claiborne to the inside into turn one. Beautiful pass there, and Piazza's off the track. Oh, and also some drama with Welker. More drivers going off as they scramble for position behind. Welker holds on to the spot at the top of the board. As they go through Maggots and Beckett. Oh, another car off. Oh, it was an incident. Whoa, that was risky stuff there, trying to pick out who that was.
Principal Dan.
But that's the car around.
Principal Dan.
That's Piazza around. Stuck in the middle of the track, waiting for everyone to go by. He picks it up, but a nightmare start for Piazza. Started effective P3, but he has tumbled all the way to the back of the order after a scary moment through Maggots and Beckett's. But it's Mitch Welker leading the way and getting out a comfortable start over.
We got all sorts of cars and troubles. I can't see turn 10.
Massive incident at Club. Caleb Bensi slow back there, and I'm trying to pick out all the stragglers, and they're falling through the order, but that is a lot of cars involved in the midfield. But through Brooklands and through Luffield, for the first time out of 40 laps,
Matt Houston.
It's Mitch Welker leading the way.
Matt Houston wide.
At Houston, caught in a gaggle of cars here. Houston starting on the hard compound. Oh, a driver behind him going off there. But let's see as they make their way through turn one for the second time. Houston's actually had a really good start. He's picked up 11 spots on the first lap of the race, just keeping it steady. And there's another one he might pick up as well as one of them goes wide. I believe that was that Bensi. Was that Bensi going wide there in that old Sauber livery?
Yes.
And Alex Van de Sant is out of the race as well, so he was one of those drivers involved in that first lap incident down through the Vale.
Oh, he had to start from the pits.
Indeed, he did. He had that EOL penalty to start with, but something tragic has happened to him. Benzie's off! Benzie is sent around!
Frankie Francica
gets into the back of Benzie. He has to reset. That is Caleb Benzie out of the race, unfortunately. He has disconnected. Ooh, as I saw Welker getting loose there ahead of Nick Johnston. Welker starting this race on the soft red compound tire. Of course, they have to make a tire compound swap at some point in this race. But Nick Johnston, meanwhile, starting on the hard tire behind him. Welker last time by was a 123.0. Johnston was a 123.2, even with that moment by Welker. So Welker is going to have to make these soft tires work as much as they possibly can. And meanwhile, battle on. Siefker looking to the inside of Ramirez for P3. And I would be remiss to give a lot of credit to both Siefker and Ramirez. Ramirez started 7th, running 3rd. Siefker started 10th. He's up to 4th. The only one of the odd duck out in this battle here is Cody Claiborne. The Fish car running P5 right now. He's only gained 1 spot right now, but still, it's certainly a gain, and I think he wants to make more of it, especially this battle between Claiborne and Siefker is anything to go on.
Mitch Welker representing the Terrell 012 livery. We have historic throwback liveries this weekend, or this week. We'll try to get everyone pointed out. I was saw Frankie Francica earlier in the orange 02 there livery a little while ago.
Also, one driver I would also be remiss to mention. Look at Ricardo Echevarria. Started 18th after a rough qualifying. He's running 7th right now. And he's actually now up to 6th. He's just gotten around Gavin Sanders for that position. Echevarria, the winner last time out at Spa-Francorchamps, he is definitely on the charge once more. What a run. Maybe he can replicate what Welker did at Spa.
Gavin Sanders representing the 1996 Jordan 196 livery from that season.
Hard to go wrong with an old Jordan livery, in my estimation, I would say. But Welker still was 0.6 of a second faster still last time by over Nick Johnston. He is pulling away, but I'm getting word on the radio. Christian Jasper may have had a bit of a moment. Was trying to apologize to someone for possibly scaring them. And Jasper, we kind of leave a lot of the guys in the midfield unnoted, but that rather nice looking Vodafone McLaren Mercedes livery that Jasper is running in the number 44. I wonder who his favorite Formula One driver would be. But he has gotten himself from 29th to 16th, so that is 13 positions gained in 3.5 laps for Christian Jasper. But sadly, some of those have come at the expense of others in not quite the most satisfactory of ways. AJ Digby, Jeff Groff, and Robert Sadler. And Robert Sadler, they have all now DNF'd from the race. So more retirements early on in the going. Kind of the nature of the beast with a packed field and everyone scrambling for position, especially on a track that's hard to make passes work, but the opportunities are plentiful here at Silverstone. You just need to make it work, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Michael de Turk there in 18th in another Jordan livery.
That beautiful Benson and Hedges livery on that number 40 machine. The Buzzin' Hornets. I always love those old Jordan liveries. It's hard to go wrong with them in my thoughts. But after a penalty that you mentioned before that de Turk had after the last race at Spa, he is now running 18th after qualifying 14th. So he is definitely on the move, it would seem, as a slow car in front of him. Was that Finian D'Acuna? Finian D'Acuna slowing ahead of Jasper. So something must have gone wrong for that number 94 machine right then and there. As they go down the hill through the very fast right-hander at Bridge. I'm seeing De Turk trying to set up a passing opportunity. Takuna starting the race on the reds. De Turk on the blacks. So once again, this difference in tire strategy. Takuna has got to minimize mistakes on these reds to maximize what limited time of grip that they will have over the hard compound, and that's something that this lead battle between Welker and Johnston, that's something for them to consider as well.
Takuna get a little off track there, got a little squirrely, opened himself up for attack there.
Very easy to do that at what is now one of the middle of the circuit corners, but turn one here at Copse, that very fast right-hander. So easy to misjudge your entry point there, especially. It's hard to get it right, but when you do, it just feels serene to drive through.
Now P19 is Simon Sykes, a bit of a ringer. We didn't know. He is a bit of a real-life driving experience under his belt. Need to find. I think I said it to you.
He raced in the USF 2000 series. So very, very accomplished, I would say there. But now he's having to defend from both Principal Dan and Vic, and I believe between both.
That's Principal Dan right behind him.
Since Sykes trying to get by Takuna now, but now he's under pressure from Danilo Piazza, from Principal Dan behind him. Of course, Piazza on the reds. He is going to have to make every move count here. Sykes, meanwhile, is looking at the red tires on Takuna and Piazza and thinking, I'm in the best position.
Takuna won.
Lets them both go there. Doesn't cause any further drama there, but a rough moment there from Takuna. Doesn't seem to be friends with turn one here tonight.
No.
But Principal Dan lining up Simon Sykes now in his sights. I would imagine he doesn't have, and does he have push the pass going? No, he does not. Not using one of the 10 push the passes.
Battle between Dakota DeMade and Cristobal Valenzuela. Cristobal Valenzuela in that Cannon livery. And looks like Dakota is in a probably an older McLaren livery based upon the orange.
Kind of his own take on it, if that is true. But ahead of him, Valenzuela in that, I'd imagine.
1971 McLaren.
Being more local. Yep. I'd imagine a bit more of a local taste for him because running a 1980s Williams livery, the Cannon Williams livery. Nigel Mansell, Nelson Piquet, of course, were the drivers, especially in the later 80s, who were not big fans of each other, it turned out.
No.
And around the same time, a similar rivalry would be brewing over at Marlboro McLaren Honda with none other than two of the other greats, Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. It was kind of the prototype of that, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think Formula One has become really the first sport that I can think of, that I really can think of, that there's been other team sports where you've learned not to like your teammate. But,
definitely.
This is one sport natively that you just hate your teammate right off the bat, which is really weird from an American point of view, where in IndyCar racing, your teammate is your best friend. And then to the lesser extent in Cup racing and that type of thing too. But your teammate is your best friend, and that's often a thing that European drivers have to learn when they come over to here. Like, so I'm not always driving for my seat against somebody else.
Definitely not as Christian Jasper. I just saw he's really taking the fight to Zachary Plum in front of him. This is the battle for 14th. Got himself on the grass there, going to the fast left-hander at Abbey.
Now, you're still going to want to fight for your seat in IndyCar racing, but not to the extent that you fight your teammates in Formula One. Your teammate in Formula One is your worst enemy.
Oh, no doubt, and we saw that earlier this year, especially at Road America, that little kerfuffle between Alex Palou and Marcus Ericsson. And we've seen it quite a few times as well.
With Andretti Autosport.
Oh, definitely. Just look at the drama with Roman Grosjean, Alexander Rossi, and basically everybody at Andretti Autosport. Everybody's probably carrying a knife behind their back in an organization. But Christian Jasper, In this battle for 14th with Flom, he is really ringing this thing. He is trying everything he can to get by that number 20 machine. But meanwhile, still, as we're working lap number 9, getting close to lap 10 here, the pace difference is still in Welker's favor over Johnston right now on the Reds. It'd be interesting to see. Track temp is actually rather cool right now. It's below 100 degrees right now. It's only 98 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you're looking at this from a European perspective, I can definitely do the translations here, and it's 37 degrees C if you want to use what many would say is the proper temperature system. But no doubt about this, Welker right now it seems like he's making these red tires work well in these colder temperatures. So, and they're relatively even with each other at the moment. Johnston was actually faster on that last lap. About 4/10 faster, actually. But it's still a ways to go for Johnston to close the gap. The gap now 2.3 seconds at the stripe last time by.
Now, what livery is Johnston in that?
And me personally, I'm seeing him in his usual In-N-Out Burger livery.
I got him in a Formula 1 mild 7.
That would... yes, that would...
blue.
That would be a Benetton livery. That would be that'd be a late 90s Benetton livery,
Okay,
what is now Alpine.
All right. I want to run right before Schumacher driving for him, or right about the same time he hopped in the... I thought Benetton was green when he jumped in with them.
Yeah, this was that was after he went to Ferrari.
Okay,
of course, Schumacher won 2 championships for Benetton in '94 and '95. But then afterwards, went over to Ferrari in '96, and of course, the rest is history from that. But Benetton, before Fernando Alonso came along in 2003 and just lit up the charts, there was of course those liveries. Gerhard Berger, probably one of the most notable ones. That was probably the livery where Gerhard Berger won his final Grand Prix at Hockenheim in '97, I believe it was. But now looking at lap times between the two leaders, Welker and Johnston. Johnston is quicker, about 1/10 faster this time by, but it seems like the balance is starting to swing a bit more in his favor here. But now, Simon Sykes is now in the sights of Welker, about to be put a lap down. Something must have happened to Simon Sykes to put him well down. Oh, no, actually, he has made a pit stop. So
he
Sykes
got off
came
those tires. Yeah, he got off those tires.
Himself off those tires there, just not liking the way those tires were going, but visually I'm still seeing Sykes on the hards, the same compound that he started on here. Of course,
I'm looking
yes,
at
he is still on the hard.
I'm looking at his time on pit road. It was 22 seconds, so there might have been some damage that he got addressed. Now looking at the closer inspection.
Imagine some repairs were to be had, probably front or rear wing damage on that machine. So very, very rough moment there for Simon Sykes, who had a fantastic run to 5th place at Spa-Francorchamps in his first race in the series. But now that seems to have put a dent in his efforts here tonight, especially since we now have the race leader, Mitch Welker, closing in. And of course, Johnston last time by about 3/10 faster than Welker last time by. A 23.5 for Johnston, a 23.8 for Welker. So Johnston now seems to have things going more his favor as he's closing up. 1.8 seconds was the margin last time around. We're trying to see... I'm actually seeing a battle right here for 10th place. I see Matthew Short running way out wide there at Club. He's got Armando Edwards harassing his rear. Edwards having a peek to the...
for 15th, 14th, 15th.
Flom and Jasper side by side going through Abbey. Flom He'll cover the inside going into bridge. Jasper trying to look to the outside here. He's been trying to fight this all race long. He looked to the inside. Oh, almost gets loose.
He did get loose. He hit a slide through there like he was Colton Herta.
Made it work, though. He gets that Vodafone McLaren livery ahead. And here comes the West McLaren livery. That's Jake Katz around the outside at left field as they go through Woodcut. Katz now still holding it around the outside, and he does indeed clear him. Flom has lost 2 positions, about the time it takes to say it. And now Katz sets his sights on Jasper. Just when you thought Jasper was going to be out of the woods after that one, not quite there. I think Katz has got his idea of his own.
Well, Flaum has the Turk and Valenzuela all over his rear end at the moment as well. And that is a bit of a 5-car train has been very close together since the start of this race.
Very, very close. It's been a very tight-knit battle right there. They can't seem to shake each other off. But looking at, trying to see, we're approaching the end of lap 13 here. Welker, of course. Welker's still staying out there, even though Johnston is catching him rather quickly right now. Last time around, it's now about a second at the line. Welker a 23.8, Johnston 23.5 once more. So Johnston is definitely closing up the gap to Mitch Welker. Can he have something for the number 76? But looking once more at that battle for 14th, it's still not over, even with Baum getting passed by Jasper and Katz. Katz is still harrying him. It's the battle of the 2 McLaren liveries.
Here comes the Turk.
And here comes the Turk to the inside at Woodcut. And he'll have the inside for Copps. And he will clear him there. And Valenzuela's Williams livery looking to take advantage of it as well. Not quite enough here as they go through Maggots and Beckett's. You wouldn't normally think to make a pass here, but you want to stay with him. Valenzuela now harrying Flom. Flom seems to really be struggling right now. Not sure if his tires or something on his car is not quite working to his satisfaction. But Valenzuela closing up as he looks to the inside. Look to the inside at Stowe right at the end of the hangar straight. But looking at this lead battle, he's right there. Johnston is right there. He looks to the inside of the turn 1. Not quite enough there. Gap was 0.2 of a second. Welker is really struggling now on these red tires. Johnston has the better rubber right now. I think the way they're going right now, they may be trying to one-stop this race. And for the moment, Johnston has the edge in tires right now. But of course, he's going to have to pit for fresh rubber later on in this race, and he's going to have to switch to reds at some point. But here comes Johnston to the inside.
He just sends it.
Beautifully done. Nick Johnston to the race lead.
I've been trying to save my voice. For anybody watching at home, the best thing you can do, the best medicine you can give me is to go ahead and like this broadcast. Go ahead and leave your comments below. Share. Of course, the best thing you can also do is subscribe. We're on a run to 1,000 subscribers, and we've got less than 100 to go to get there. So if you could do me a favor, the best medicine you can give me to help my throat is to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot, especially at this point in time. But most of the ad material that you hear me read during these races, kind of keeping it at the minimum today. We do want to thank our sponsors for being a part of today's race, especially Midwest Kidney Warriors. But trying in an effort to save my voice and to keep the emphasis on racing and the call by Steven here, I won't be doing a lot of that stuff. So the best thing you can do is just give us a thumbs up and give us a subscribe. We would really appreciate it.
Nate Siefker, meanwhile, out of P3. He was closing right up on the leaders, but now he makes a dive onto pit road at the end and on lap 16. Down and away he goes. He switched to the softs. So lap 16, it'll be interesting to see if indeed the one-stop strategy I mentioned before is going to work. Of course, I've never actually raced Indy cars on this version of Silverstone. Of course, I have in the Lionheart series on the new version of Silverstone for a couple of years. But not quite having the fuel numbers to say for certain how long these guys will go is kind of an annoyance, if I'm being honest with you. But Johnston now leading the way about 0.7 of a second at the line. Jose Ramirez now in P3. We'll see now that that among the leaders, the pit strategy is starting to play itself out. What will Johnston do? Will he keep it going? Yes, he will. So the thing I'm wondering here, if indeed they can get it past 20 laps, there is, of course, no doubt fuel mileage-wise that they'll be able to make it to the end of the race. As, ooh, Johnston runs way out wide there in turn 1. Gets a bit of grass on his wheels, but keeps it tidy nonetheless, even with that.
Got a bit of a problem in the mid-pack. Armando Edwards showing some damage, and a bunch of cars are queuing up behind him.
Oh, indeed he is. Armando Edwards' front wing is gone on that car on the left side, letting a bunch of cars going by there. Jasper, Katz, they are all going by him right there, and they're all making their way by them. Again, that battle hasn't really ended, and now Logan Spath ahead of them up to P11 right now in that Sauber Red Bull livery. But Katz now pulling out a gap over Jasper, and now he's under pressure from DeTurk and Valenzuela behind him. So this battle in the mid-pack of the field, it certainly hasn't diminished either. Matthew Short, meanwhile, came on the pit road out of P10. He is down and away, and he is running the softs now.
That is correct. Mitch is in the Terrell 012. I said the Bennington, but sorry, it's a Terrell 012.
Yeah.
Bennington sponsorship.
But this battle in the mid-pack, definitely very exciting stuff.
It's hard to keep your eyes off this bit. I mean, you know that there was stuff going on at the front that you wanted to watch, but man, this battle at the mid-pack, these guys are really fighting it out like it's they're fighting for the bottom step of the podium somewhere.
Yeah, it's like they're fighting for a podium at the British Grand Prix. I'm keeping a close eye on the gaps now in the lead battle here, and I'm keeping an eye on fuel strategy, but this is just too good to ignore right now, and I got to agree with you on that one, Gary.
And they're keeping it so clean. I want to give all these guys a nod that these guys have been, with all the incidents and everything that we can have happen in these open wheel cars where there's bumping and scraping and whatnot. These guys have kept it really, really clean, and that is very remarkable considering how fast this circuit is.
Indeed, they're playing very, very well with each other, and you got to give them a lot of kudos for that. And not only is it fast, but it's one of those tracks where it's hard to pass, but at the same time, every corner on this track is a passing opportunity with, well, a few exceptions. Of course, Maggots and Beckett's, you would only do that if you were insanely desperate. But a lot of these corners, you can definitely make passes work here. You just need to be absolutely certain of the guy around you and of what you and your car are able to pull off. And looking at this battle between Jasper and Valenzuela as DeTurk starting to creep himself back into this picture in this little tussle. But Valenzuela, he's got to pick his moments very, very carefully here and if he is going to make the pass, he's got to make it stick.
Echevarria and Quinones team cars on pit road.
Winner last time out at Spa. Down off the jacks, waiting for down and away on the fuel. So lap 19 is where he will come in. He's changed over to the hards. He started the race on the softs. And Quinones, I think he was on the same strategy as well. So lap 19 was when they were going to come in. Keeping an eye and see if Welker will come in at the end of this lap, at the end of 19, going on to 20. The fuel mileage does seem to be there. I would imagine if they're able to go this long, I would think that they'd be able to save enough to make it to the end of this race on one stop.
Yeah,
so that's why they're stretching out these runs.
I think Welker can do this under one stop here.
I would think so as well. Johnston coming in. I would not think that Johnston would be the guy to blink first in this battle. Starting on the hard compound
Ramirez
tire.
is in as well. Gavin Sanders moving up to P2.
Ramirez on the pit road as well. Johnston into his box. No dramas there up on the jacks. Same with Ramirez behind him. And down, waiting on the fuel, away he goes. And on the reds, of course. So Johnston now going to have to put the money laps down here. And Welker, I would imagine, is going to come in at the end of this lap, if not stretching out a little bit further, perhaps. We'll see if he can make 21, but I would think now, with the red tires going away like this, I would think that he'd want to come in now. More drivers on the pit road. Katz, Jasper, that mid-pack battle we're talking about is now on pit road. Valenzuela down off the jacks, waiting for him to go. Waiting on the fuel, agonizing as he gets out. Yes, he does get out behind the two
leader
the two McLaren livery cars he's fighting with. Welker in. So keeping an eye not just on Welker, one of the dominant cars of this race, but Johnston is going to be on fast, fresh red tires right now. These are Johnston's money laps as well. He is going to have to put down some flyers to not only to jump, of course, to jump Welker, but to also build up a gap that Johnston will have to defend. Perhaps if he can build up a big enough gap, he may not have to defend too hard. But Welker down and away. Oh, and here comes Johnston. And he does. Ooh, it's going to be close. Johnston side by side through Maggots and Beckett's. And, yep, I would imagine there, Welker has to give way on cold tires. Johnston, of course, is going to be flying right now on this lap.
But he does not pick up the lead. Nate Siefker is your leader.
Nate Siefker leading the way. Amazing stuff.
Now, remember, he stopped a little bit early.
Indeed he did, so he's had a few more laps to build up a gap here, but that's also going to mean he's going to have laps older tires, so
he might have to stop again.
Yeah, we'll see what the tire fall off will be for Siefker, but also I'd imagine fuel would probably be a concern, because coming in a few laps earlier, you're probably going to have to fuel save on a track like this and sacrifice a bit of your lap time to make it to the end. But Johnston now putting down fast laps right here. Let's see what kind of lap he can pull on this lap here. That's his personal best of the race so far, a 1:23.035 for Johnston. Not quite the fastest lap of the race. I believe that's still held by Mitch Welker with a 23:018. But Johnston incredibly close, and he is going to have to put down qualifying lap after qualifying lap here to build up that margin. But Nate Siefker, it's an 8-second lead over Nick Johnston. Amazing track position gained here by that number 2 machine. But I'm wondering here, can this strategy actually work out long term?
Here are the FIS points real quick. I'll try my best voice here to get these in. But Mitch Welker, of course, is your dominant leader right now with 158 points over Bruno Miranda. Bruno Miranda currently right now is out of the race, so this is going to very much cost him. Nick Johnson's P3. This is Johnson is gonna definitely needs to keep pace here because he is in a battle for the top 2 positions. Hector Alvarez P4, Sanders P5, Hill P6, Quinn in a tie with 6. Short, DeTurk, and Munoz is your top 10 there in the points. Already see Caleb Bency with a hit today, Alex Vanasant with a point hit today, Nate Seifert looking to make some points up as he is currently in 13th. That is a remainder of your points, your team points. And of course, it would be AAIR with Project 2. That would be Mitch Welker's team is your overall main leader, followed by Team Watson Racing with TWR with 145. FBR Motorsports by TWR with 111, and the question marks with 108. And Team Kamigoya Sunset Arctic in 5th place, just 4 points behind P4 in 5th. That is your team championship situation.
And indeed, Siefker looking to make up a lot of time from his 2 absences in the last 2 races. He was on vacation for the last few weeks, and it seems like a little bit of R&R has been doing him some pretty good here tonight. He's actually opened up the gap over Johnston right now. It's 8.2 seconds. It's not much of a gap over the last lap, but Siefker... Oh, Siefker coming in!
Pit road.
Siefker's coming into the pits. So, just getting what he could out of those reds, and I'm guessing is he going to switch back to hards perhaps? So this was definitely an oddball strategy call, I would think, by Nate Siefker. We would think that he would be able to make some stuff up.
Oh,
with
something
fuel
happened to
mileage.
Simon Sykes. Simon Sykes just loaded into the pits right behind him, so that's a tow.
Simon Sykes. And
And
he
he's just
will
out, yeah.
disconnect from the race. And looking at it, it was a self-spin coming out of Magnussen. Beckes just gets his left side tires on the grass, about to go through Chapel, and just sends him around and into the tire barrier. But this lead battle now, it's Nick Johnston and Mitch Welker. Once more, Johnston seems to be having a bit of a rough go of it. Welker is actually faster right now on those hard compound tire, and he's putting down some very good laps as well. He's putting down 23.1s, is Mitch Welker. Amazing lap time so far on the hard compound. He's actually faster than Johnston. He's closed up right onto his gearbox.
Decent battle for P4 going on at the moment as well.
So Sanders and Echevarria. Echevarria, of course, started well down on the field in 18th. Now battling it out for 5th place. For 4th place, I should say, with Sanders. But this lead battle as well. Last time by, it's half a second right now. Welker is closing up here amazingly on these hard tires. Of course, the hard tires are known to be faster in a straight line on road courses. They have less rolling resistance, so they're able to make up the time on the straights. They have a higher top speed. Maybe something that Welker is using to his advantage right now. It'll be 15 laps to go at the stripe. Can Welker indeed get back by him? Look at him harrying him all over him, going through Club. Down the back and down one of the back straights we go. Through Abbey, very fast. 170 miles an hour is the speed through there. And even through Bridge, it's 140 miles an hour. Very fast corners here on the old Silverstone.
It's right along with Mitch Welker.
Kerr looking for all the grip he can. First gear corner through left field. Hammers up through them. Through Woodcut. Seems like he's having some connection issues,
Yeah.
it looks like, for Welker. A little bit of blink there, I think. Welker way out wide there. Once again, blinks. Through Maggots, through Beckett's. Going down through the gears one at a time. And then through Chapel onto the hanger straight.
I believe that's Peter Donchak. They're getting ready to put a lap down there. He's in a throwback livery. I got to find out which one that is.
And Donchak letting the lead battle go. That's Jose Ramirez going by him as well. But down through
Okay.
the Vale, then to the fast club right-hander goes this lead battle.
That is a 1999 BAR Honda, which is a half Lucky Strike and a half a zipper. I'm not familiar with this. I wasn't watching Formula One back then, but that is that particular livery right there by Peter Donchak.
fancy that he would be running what, by many estimations, myself included, would be considered the ugliest F1 livery.
That's the Lola. That's the Lola livery that they tried to run for a couple races. That was a miserable failure. I remember he has that in his arsenal that he pulls out every now and then. But I believe that is the Lola livery. I could be wrong, but I do know that it only came out for a couple races, and it was not a very overwhelming failure, from what I understand.
Massively overwhelming failure. Didn't even qualify for their first time out, and it didn't help that their sponsor, MasterCard, had the temperament of a wet cat when it came to this thing, and they didn't know what in the heck they were doing. But speaking of people who actually know what they're doing, here comes Welker looking to the outside for the race lead on Nick Johnston. Look at this move! Around the outside through Stowe, and he'll have the inside for the chicane. Beautifully done by Mitch Welker to retake that race lead. What a run by Welker on the harder compound tire, no less, earlier on in the going. And now Welker setting his sights on his 4th win in 5 starts, not just this season, but through his whole of a career in the Formula Indy Series. What a run it's been thus far. But also, I would be remiss to not talk about Jose Ramirez. Ramirez starting to creep himself into the frame for 2nd place at least.
Yeah, he's pushing it. He's hustling it. You saw him get a little loose there on corner exit.
That number 75 machine looking very, very strong as they come across the stripe. It's Welker over Johnston, half a second at the line. Ramirez catching them both. It's 1.2 seconds between Ramirez and Welker, and 0.8 between him and Nick Johnston ahead. His last lap by was a lot faster than Johnston was. He is catching him. And I'm seeing this lead battle catching Dakota DeMade in 19th position. Dakota, the last car on the lead lap. Welker building up a gap here. He's got a bit of a margin to work with if indeed Dakota becomes an issue. But Dakota, of course, a very smart driver. He's going to be probably going to be letting them go at the best opportunity. But look at this battle now for
P4. Sorry, battle for P4. Echeverria getting around Sanders.
Similar situation, I would think, going around. Oh, as Dakota DeMade lets them both by in that battle for 2nd. Ramirez is catching him. Ramirez is right there. Hate to take him off the battle between Sanders and Echevarria, but Ramirez really putting the pressure on Nick Johnston now. Out of left field. Down the front straightaway they go.
Just gonna take a look on the inside. Nope.
Has a peek there through him. Peek there through turn 1. Gets way out wide there through Copps. Maggots, Beckett's Chapel next.
Can't pass through here.
I would not make the move here. He'll set him up here for the hanger straight.
He's on push to pass. We're riding the line along with him. You see the green border around his readout there on his dash.
And he will clear him going through Stowe. Johnston trying to have a look once again to the outside, but to no avail. Ramirez now up to P2. Beautifully done by the number 75 machine so far.
Great. Running him down very patiently. Caught him. Picked his spot. Used push to pass. Worked right on by. Textbook.
Beautifully done by Jose Ramirez. Started 7th, now up to P2. We'll see if he can indeed run down Welker. Welker's about 1.5 seconds adrift of both of these guys. So Ramirez, if he is indeed going to catch him, he's going to have to put down some stellar laps. As we're getting closer and closer to 10 laps to go, it'll be 11 laps to go at the stripe this time by for Welker, as he's catching, I believe, that Zachary Palm in front of him, who is now the last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, and Zachary is also in a throwback. He is in that Olympus, kind of what Mario Andretti drove.
A John Player Special Lotus livery. That one never gets old.
No, very classy. Very, very classy. It's hard to beat the old black and gold.
Indeed. From Emerson Fittipaldi in 72 to Mario Andretti in 78 to Nigel Mansell in the 80s. It didn't matter what car it was, it always looked good in the JPL Lotus livery. And then when Olympus came along, still held true as Welker gets by him. Put him one lap down. Plum was in the middle of that great tussle. And speaking of that tussle we were talking about before, that still has not gone away, by the way.
No, and
especially
between
DeTurk and DeTurk and Cody Claiborne.
Right, and they're not that far ahead of the leaders right now, as a matter of fact.
Indeed, 58 seconds behind Welker and Ramirez. And Principal Dan, who had a spin after starting 4th early on in this race, he has now worked his way up to 11th. He's been very calm, very patient. He knew he had the pace to make it work, and he's showing it tonight.
Yeah, while we got a chance, let's try to go through the top 10, give everybody a little bit of screen time here. Here's your leader, Mitch Welker. Jose Ramirez, P2. Nick Johnson, P3. Echevarria, right there, P4. Gavin Sanders right behind him in P5. Pedro Quinones, he's along with that whole Ramirez and Echevarria team right there. TPRT, he is in P6. Nate Seifert, who's led for a little bit, P7. Matt Houston in the Lucky Strike BAR Honda for not for Button. He tells me not for Button. It is for Sato. He is a Sato fan. So he is driving the BAR Honda for Sato. This is a P8. Cristobal Valenzuela. There he is. He's in the Cannon livery. He's driven that thing up to P9. Jake Katz. He's up in one of the McLarens. He's driven it up to P10. And Principal Dan, after recovering from that spin, right behind him. We just talked about him. Michael DeTurk, P12. Cody Claiborne, P13. Christian Jasper, P14. Logan Spath in my livery there. That is the Sauber, one of my all-time favorites, in P15. Matthew Short right behind him for position. Victor Aldrich in the another McLaren in P17. There's Dakota in another McLaren in P18. And Zachary Fromm, of course, in the Lotus. Frankie Franchiga in the orange O2. Hugo Galles in his own team livery is in P21. Peter Donchek in P22. Finian Dunica is in 23rd. Armando Edwards shown in 25th in the pits. Simon Sykes shown 24th out. Jordan Erickson also shown in the pits. He was in a Marlboro livery. He's shown in 26th. But right now we're showing 23 cars still running. And 17 are on the lead lap. And that is your full field rundown at the moment for everybody left on track here with 9 laps to go. Your leader, Mitch Welker.
And Piazza, I will note, he's just gotten himself around Jake Katz to get himself up to P10. Great recovery effort so far by Principal Dan. And keeping an eye also looking at Seifert's times, because he's on some of the freshest rubber in the field, even though he's on hards. He is slowly but surely catching Pedro Quinones for P6, but this lead battle is actually a lot closer than you would think. Ramirez is actually catching Mitch Welker. Jose Ramirez's number 75 is on a tear. Welker last time by with a 23.7. Ramirez a 23.3. Look at this. Can Jose Ramirez dethrone Mitch Welker tonight? Slowly but surely picking them off. Ramirez has been the silent killer tonight.
I've told you last time, the TPRT team is on to something very special here. This group of guys that normally do not drive Indy cars, they said that this is not their specialty. If they ever make this their specialty, they are going to be a team to be reckoned with in the IndyCar online iRacing community here. These guys should definitely stick with it because they are definitely showing their worth here in the RaceVerse FIS series.
I would agree wholeheartedly. We talked to Echevarria after he won last time out at Spa. He said they're just a bunch of guys from Puerto Rico who love driving fast cars, and they really are showing that they love it. Ooh, that was some close stuff there. I think that was Victor Aldrich. They just zipped on by. But Ramirez really closing up right now on Welker. And I would agree they should stick around here. The boys from the island are really really showing it to the big guns here that they may have come out of nowhere in terms of the IndyCar community, but I think they deserve a place here. They really are showing that if they want to stay, they can be here to stay, and I hope they do. But Ramirez still a bit quicker. He was about 2/10 faster than Welker on that last lap. 7 laps to go.
Where do you think that he's making up the most time on him right now on the course?
It's hard to tell at the moment, but it's looking he's looking pretty steady through Maggots and Beckett's. It looks like trying to look at trap speeds here. Welker hit 181. Ramirez, I'm trying to see, hit 185, so he was flying down the hanger straight there.
He wasn't on push to pass.
And of course, both these drivers running on hard compound tires, so they're running the fastest tire straight line-wise as they head down towards bridge. Can Ramirez close up there? Welker keeping it tight on the exit of bridge as they go through Brooklands. The left-hander and then left field. We'll see if indeed Ramirez is certainly close. Can he make it even closer? No, Ramirez is coming into the pits. So not the same strategy, I would imagine, but Welker now has a reprieve of the highest order. Johnston will now move up to P2, and Echevarria also on pit road.
Did the TPRT guys not calculate correctly, or end up using more fuel than they thought they would?
That would be my guess, or they didn't realize that they were actually able to get the fuel mileage going that far. I would imagine that Welker and Johnston and company, they were fuel saving a little bit more than Echevarria and Ramirez were. So with 6 laps to go here, they're still certainly in the fight for some good positions here. They're still as Quinones also coming off of pit road. So
yeah,
they
whole
are
team.
Still in the top 10. Ooh, as I saw Echevarria run way out wide there on fresh rubber through Maggots and Beckett's. So it may have been a miscalculation strategy-wise for these guys, but I wouldn't want to diss them too terribly much, as they said they're relatively new to the Indy cars. So comes with the learning curve, I would think. But Ramirez still, as Welker comes across the line, the gap right now he has over Nick Johnston in P2 as he comes to the stripe with he comes over the line there, 10.2 seconds. The car behind him is not for position, I will note. That's Jake Katz in the old West McLaren livery, late 90s. I wonder if it's wonder who he's trying to emulate. Mika Hakkinen, David Coulthard, or Kimi Räikkönen. But Johnston 10.5 seconds there, and he's actually letting Jake Katz go. He knows that they have their own battle here, and the gap between him and Gavin Sanders, who's inherited P3, is about 6 seconds across the stripe. So what you're seeing here with Johnston is a lot of drivers on fresh tires. Of course, Johnston has some of the oldest tires in the field and the oldest red tires for certain. So he is going to let these guys go. He knows they have their own battle. It's not really worth holding them up, especially when you've got a big gap between the leader, Welker, and the guy behind you in Sanders. And we'll try to see how they cycle through. So Welker 13.3 seconds as Johnston had to give up a lot of spots. There. Sanders 17.7. Siefker in P4. Ramirez still holding on to P5 with fresh reds. He is going to be putting on some lightning laps. He set his best lap of the race, a 1:21.577.
Wow, jeez.
I think that is the purple lap. Ramirez on a tear. Can he close up on Siefker? Siefker's the guy ahead of him for P4. It's a bit of an ask, I would think. It's about 8 seconds the gap. But Ramirez has fresh rubber here. And Echevarria also in the 21s with a 21.9.
Yeah, 121.9. So they are smoking right now.
Quinones with a 22.3. Still running very fast lap times. That's 5th, 6th, and 7th. The Team TP entries, they are putting on some lightning fast laps at the end of this race. The strategy may not have worked the way that it could have, but they're showing that they have the pace. With 3 laps to go, it's Welker. Welker across the line going through Maggots and Beckett. It's 16.2 seconds between him and Johnston. Of course, I'm not gonna be. That's not gonna be entirely on Johnston. He had to let a few guys go on that lap, and a lot of clear communication is going to be needed between these guys because I'm seeing Jasper now coming off of pit road. He's trying to run down Dakota DeMay for 16th, 1 lap down. Oh. Johnston, I think, wait, was that, almost had a bit of drama moment there. Jasper trying to work his way around some of the leaders, actually. It's kind of odd that I'd be saying that. But we're coming to 2 laps to go this time by. Probably the closest battle on the racetrack is actually for 3rd place between Sanders and Nate Siefker for the final step on the podium.
Actually, Sanders is right on Nick Johnson now.
Indeed he is. He's caught him right up with Nick Johnston. I'm not sure what's going on now with Johnston there. The first 2 laps, I would imagine, would be understandable, but now he's got a lot of pressure. That number 10 is going to be putting it on him. 2 laps to go. Sanders right up on him as they come out of the corner. Oh, Johnston defending, going through Maggots and Beckett's. That's a risky place to pass anyway, but it's a riskier place to defend. And Sanders now, he is going to be looking to take that 2nd place away down the hangar straight.
Both are on the button.
On the button, perfect spot to do it. He looks to the outside, going through Stowe. Not quite enough to get up alongside him. He's got to try and make the cutback on the inside.
Oh, good cutback.
Good cutback move. Johnston will have the inside for the chicane.
Oh, he gets in the back of him.
Oh, he gets tapped by Siefker. Oh, and he gets sent around. Siefker has front wing damage. That may be a reprieve that Johnston's been looking for. Siefker definitely has damage.
Gavin does too. He's going to have front nose damage, but he's going to be able to carry on. But that's going to open up the door for Ramirez.
Jose Ramirez, he will now have the opportunity, a perfect opportunity to get 2 spots for 1. Final lap of the race. Welker out to a massive lead right now. He has got no one to worry about. But Ramirez, he is going to be the guy that Siefker and Sanders are going to worry about at the end of this race. Neither of them are going to pit. They're going to limp home with the damage.
You know, they're within the meatball window anyway, so they should definitely finish out their runs.
And that is... Sanders around! Sanders is sent around! Did Ramirez touch him? I'm not sure if he did, but Ramirez does get by him, and now he's gonna get by Siefker. Siefker's struggling still. Down the hangar straight they go. Siefker defending to the inside, going through Stowe. Side by side, still a bit of a lock up there from Siefker, but Ramirez around the outside. He gets himself onto the podium, and maybe even, as he's starting to close up a bit on Johnston, it's going to be a big ask. But Johnston seems to be struggling. Can Ramirez catch him at the end of this race? But Welker off the final corner. He will win. 4 for 5 for Welker at Silverstone. Beautifully done. But the battle is now between Johnston and Ramirez. It's getting close. Ramirez is right there. He's going to have a send to the inside. Not quite enough. Now he's going to have a look to the outside now through left field. Can he get it around the outside? Looks like he will. Ramirez from 5th to 2nd on the last lap of the race. What a drive. Beautifully done by Jose Ramirez. And Johnston will hold on to P3. Siefker over the line with a damaged front wing, P4 after all of that. And Sanders with a broken rear wing. He will have to sacrifice that, I think. No, he didn't. He held on to 5th over
P5.
Echevarria. What a finish. That was certainly... You didn't expect that sort of finish at the end of this race, but beautiful racing all throughout, and definitely some chaos thrown in. But it's going to be Mitch Welker getting 4 for 5 here tonight at Silverstone. A masterful drive through the chaos. And only 10 cars, I will note, only 10 cars finish on the lead lap. It's going to be Mitch Welker winning over Ramirez and Johnson on the podium. Nate Siefker, Gavin Sanders, Ricardo Echevarria, Pedro Quinones 7th. Principal Dan, Daniel Piazza gets back to 8th. Matt Houston will be 9th, and Matthew Short will be 10th.
Let's go ahead and clear the screen here and let you do the full field rundown before we head off to doing the podium interviews. If you can.
And of course, Welker with the win. Ramirez and Johnston. Siefker, Gavin Sanders 5th. Echevarria, Quinones, Piazza, Houston, and Short are your top 10. Michael DeTurk, first car 1 lap down. He will finish 11th. Logan Spath 12th. Cody Claiborne will bring it home 13th. Jake Katz 14th. And after that fantastic battle all race long, Dakota DeMabe will be 15th after all that. He gained 11 spots quietly out of that. Christian Jasper will be 16th. Hugo Galaz in 17th. Valenzuela 18th. Peter Donchak will be 19th. And Zachary Palm rounds out your top 20. Victor Aldrich will be 21st. And followed by Finian DeCuna in 22nd. Frankie Franciccia out of the race late in the going. He will be 9 laps down in 23rd. And then a lot of the drivers that did not make it to the end. Simon Sykes, Armando Edwards, Jordan Erickson, Christopher Kresge, Joshua Tucker, Caleb Bensi early on after an incident, Nick Giotti, Bruno Miranda, Robert Sadler, AJ Digby, Jeff Groff, and Alex Van de Sant. And from 29th to 40th, they were all knocked out of the race in the first 2 laps. That was a chaotic start to the race, no doubt. And they unfortunately paid the price for it. But Welker once again with the victory. And I'm seeing all 3 podium finishers in the interview room.
All right. Let's go ahead and bring in Nick Johnston here, and I'll let you go ahead and run everything as my voice is, well, you hear it, so yeah. Go right ahead.
Nick, it's Steven subbing in for Gary up in the booth for Gary's voice. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah.
So that was quite the interesting finish to the race, I would say. Great battling all race long there, but it seemed like you were struggling right at the end of that race, and Ramirez was able to use the pace to get by back there. Was it fuel saving that you were trying?
Yeah, in that first stint, when I noticed that Mitch was going to be able to go 20 laps on the Reds, I didn't think the Reds were going to last that long. I kind of had already committed myself to a 2-stop at that point with the Blacks, and I figured my only chance of possibly winning was to go with 1 stop. So that's what I tried to do. I tried to go 21 laps on the Reds, and I had enough fuel. Just normally I say try to finish the race with 2 wings and 4 tires. Well, this race I finished with 3 tires. The left front was completely dead. So
amazing stuff there, and of course you had to measure your pace the whole way going, and given that a lot of drivers seem to go for 2 stoppers, it seemed that was not something that a lot of people expected. But then you saw Welker going for it at the midway point of the race. And do you really was it really that much of a surprise to go that far into the race?
To me, it was. I had done a little short stint on the Reds in practice, and I felt like they were dropping off pretty hard. So I thought we were going to be in another situation like Spa, where the red tires would just absolutely die about 5-6 laps in. But once we got to like lap 11, 12 of the stint, and Mitch on the Reds was still out front, which was perfectly fine on pace, I was like, uh-oh. And once I saw that he went further on fuel, I was like, big uh-oh.
Yeah, that was quite an amazing fuel strategy, if that was certainly the case. And the end of that race, of course, Ramirez, of course, had a two-stopper, and he had lightning fast pace at the end there. But what did you make of the chaos that was going on around that with Seifker, Sanders, and Ramirez? Like I thought that was going to be a massive reprieve for you at the end of that race, and then Ramirez just blitzes right by you in the final corner.
Yeah, I felt bad for Gavin there. I was going as quick as I could through that corner. Like I said, my left front was down to 0% at the end of the race. So I probably just kind of checked us all up, and he got turned in the whole deal. Nothing else I could really do, but it sucks that it happens like that. It sucks when guys get wrecked, but kind of is what it is.
And of course, with the another podium, of course, you finished on the podium last time out at Spa, and going into Brands Hatch, would you say this is still good momentum regardless?
Yeah, not too bad. Go with some more fun circuits. It's kind of disappointing we're running a somewhat boring track, having to run somewhat boring fuel save, tire save strategies. I kind of wish we'd add 1 or 2 laps to the race to kind of make it so like, hey, you are not making it on fuel. And make it more of a tire strategy. We get guys going on reds at different time than the black tire, and switch it up might make it more exciting. But we're kind of forced into a box. Like there was really one strategy to win the race, and if I would have known going in the one stop was the way to be, I think I would have been racing with or right behind Mitch there. He had crazy pace, but I think we could at least been in the top 2.
Indeed, and of course, another podium for you tonight. And anyone you want to give a shout out to?
First off, thanks to my girlfriend Danielle. Thanks, babe, for watching. Sorry I sucked. TWR guys, for all their help. They do a great job putting strategies together and working together during the races. My buddy Jordan, he unfortunately got wrecked out there like midway point, but he was helping me out with my fuel numbers, what I need to hit every lap. So I was able to use him to give him my fuel loads and get fuel numbers and see where I had to be. So that was cool. Of course, you guys for broadcasting this. Hopefully your voice gets better soon, Gary.
Thank you.
And the Formula Indy Series put on something for me to do every Tuesday night.
Yeah, at least everything else about Gary's feeling better. It's just his voice just doesn't sound like it's feeling better.
It's not.
You sound rough, but
It is rough, but not a rough night for you. Still P3. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Brands Hatch, man.
Yeah, thank you. How'd you guys like the Benetton livery?
I really liked it. I had to go back and look it up because I'm not the Formula One expert, but it looks really, really good on an IndyCar. Sometimes these liveries don't transfer over very well. That one transfers over pretty well.
Yeah, I think it came out good.
Maybe one of the few liveries that actually breaks the F1 livery stereotype.
You guys have a great night.
All right, you too.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep. Good luck next time.
Yeah, see you.
All right, let's bring down Jose. You go right ahead there.
Jose, what a fantastic finish there. P2 on the night after fifth on going into the final lap. What did you make of all of that? Like, did you expect that to be that crazy? And if so, like, what sort of premonition gave you that?
Honestly, I had no idea that was gonna be the last lap. It was gonna be like that. I knew I was a lot faster than them. I was catching them for the last 5 laps or so. But definitely I was not expecting a P2 after that. I was just trying to get like, okay, I can manage a P4 maybe, but Yeah, that was hectic final lap.
Yeah, that was, and it seemed like the pace was there for you all night long. Of course, you had a different fuel strategy than everybody else. Well, not everybody else. It seemed like the majority of them went for your strat, but Johnston and Welker, of course, went for a one-stop strategy, and it seemed like when we were talking with Johnston, that one kind of came out of the blue for him. Did you think that that was a possibility?
Honestly, I had limited practice, so I had no idea how the Reds were gonna last. So that was my concern in there. So I went kind of knowing like Spa, the Reds only lasted a couple laps, so I was guessing the same was gonna happen here. So I didn't want to risk it. So I just went for a two stopper and I don't know five flaps only on the Reds and went from there. So honestly I didn't know that it was possible to do it on just one stop.
Indeed, and I would be remiss if after seeing your race if I didn't talk about the final lap there. All the chaos that happened, like, and obviously you had the pace over all these guys, especially the way you were battling with them, and we were talking with Ricardo last week, and maybe getting a bit off topic, saying that you guys are fairly new to the Indy cars. It seems like you guys are cementing your place as being very strong competitors here. Would you say that this sort of result after blowing past a lot of established names, Gavin Sanders, Nate Seifker, and Nick Johnston at the end of this race, would you say this is a statement for not just yourself but the organization?
Yeah, definitely think so. I was talking to Mitch before the interview here that this was truly the first race that I felt comfortable with this car. Like you said before, and Ricardo said the other time, this is like a relatively new car for us. So it's kind of limited practice, limited. At least for me, I'm still not super comfortable with it. But this track, like this combination, definitely felt right for me, and I don't know, it went my way. Finally, I guess.
Yeah, there's with something like that, over time when you do get used to the car, I think you and your team are going to be a force to be reckoned with this season and going beyond. So there's no doubt about it that I think that, and that I definitely think you're going to be, you guys are going to be really strong going forward. And would you say there's anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to the team, TPRT or TPRT. I know we're kind of getting used to here. So hopefully, will be more podiums for us and more race wins in the future. So.
Indeed, and hopefully, and I'd love to get the chance to say that you guys get another win. Maybe it'll be you, maybe it'll be Ricardo, but I wouldn't doubt it'd be any one of you. Well done, P2 tonight.
Thank you.
All right, and let's bring down Mr. Four. Is it 4 for 5?
Yep, 4 for 5 for Mitch Welker. Let's get him in here.
There he is.
Mitch, 4 for 5, and what a race it was. It seemed like you got yourself a bit unclear of a lot of the drama here tonight, Mitch. And that's got to be a bit of a concerning fact for a lot of people around you. Tell us about your race.
It was just well planned out and well executed. That's all it is. Every week I sit down, do the homework, talk to Mike, we execute and get it done. That's all these are.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And of course the strategy that you adopted here tonight, a lot of people didn't seem to expect that a one stopper was going to be viable, but you and eventually Nick Johnston, once he realized what you were going on, I think you kind of proved them wrong, even though you did have to measure your pace for a lot of the race. And like it seemed to me that like with a lot of drivers maybe passing you for positions that they may have had that obviously they had a pace advantage, but they obviously burned the fuel a lot more. And we were talking, of course, with Ramirez earlier on. He just played the safe option, but it seems to me that and of course the homework you do, it really seems to be paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. Just talking with Mike and the rest of the team last night, and it was suggested that save might be possible because I was able to get to 18 on a regular fuel burn stint. and I still had like 0.8 of a lap left in the tank when I pit off of that. So I thought, it's probably viable to save at least 1.2 laps more worth of fuel. And I sat down, did the math, and I went out and practiced, and I was able to easily hit the target, still set really good laps, and the Reds went the full fuel stint when I was saving. That was the important part that we were worried about, and that ended up working out. So we just went for it with that. Yeah.
And that point you bring up about the pace while saving fuel. Of course, there's a lot of ways you could save fuel in these cars. Lift and coast is one thing a driver can do, and also the different fuel map settings. Was it just fuel map that you were using, or was there a bit of lift and coast involved as well?
I didn't touch the fuel maps at all.
Really? Didn't even touch the fuel map once, so it was all lifting and coasting then?
All the right foot, yep.
Amazing there. But that really showing the kind of talent that we've got here. Not just fast, but also can keep it measured as well. And 4 wins out of 5 races here in the Formula Indy Series. It's really showing, and like this sort of drive is the reason why. We've all known that you're strong in these cars. And going into Brands Hatch next week, like, would you say that the trend can continue?
I believe so. If I continue to do the work and Mike continues to help me as he does, and we continue to execute as we are, I don't see why not.
And once again, like, this has been an amazing breakout season. And anyone else trying to give a shout out to? Obviously, Mike, your crew chief, has been getting a lot of praise here tonight. Anyone else you want to call out?
Yeah, totally. Again, Mike always in the box, helping me out, making these things happen. Love him for it. And obviously our sponsors, LW Haugen, Lazy Rocket, Open Medicine Foundation on the car, supporting me as well. So thanks, everyone.
Very well done. Once again, Mitch Welker, 4 wins out of 5 starts. We'll see you at Brands Hatch. Let's go and go get it done.
See you there.
See ya. All right. Well, final thoughts from you here at Legacy Silverstone.
Well, Silverstone it's always been a great track for racing, and we saw that here tonight. Different strategies playing out, some unexpected ones as well. The racing action was top notch, I think. And once again, Mitch Welker really showing that he is a genuine threat, not a genuine threat, even with the championship lead as big as he has. He's just showing how strong a talent he is. But I also want to give a big shout out to the likes of Ramirez, Echevarria, and Quinones. That team right there, I think they're going to be a major up-and-coming threat as well to the Mitch Welker juggernaut. I think with the next few races, starting at Brands Hatch next week, I think this is going to be the beginning of a really fun stretch this season.
Well, next up is Brands Hatch, a place where Indy cars have been twice in their lifetime, once in the not-too-distant past. So that's next week, Brands Hatch. Because my voice didn't get a chance to really thank a lot of our sponsors. I want to thank Midwest Kidney Warriors again for their continued support of this series and sponsoring individual races. Please check them out at MidwestKidneyWarriors.com or visit their group page on Facebook today. So that's pretty much it. I'd like for everybody to like, share, and subscribe while they're at it. Do all the things that make the YouTube algorithm like us the most, and you know you're in the right place for iRacing, IndyCar racing when you're here on RaceVerse. We all know what Indy means here, so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to get on out of here, let my voice rest for at least another night. Got another rough one again tomorrow night with the RIL, so we'll see if it's any better then. But for Stephen Larkamp, everyone at RaceVerse, I'm Gary Gottsman saying all. Thanks for watching, and to all our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again next week at Brands Hatch for the next race of the RaceVerse Formula Indy Series. Good night.